Hello, sir. Ready, sir. Hello, hello, hello,
Good morning.
sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, I'm clear. Am I clearly audible?
Yes.
Yes. Ready, madam.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, ma.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, sir. Good
Good morning, Anjali, madam. Good morning.
morning, Reddy, sir. लाईव्ह स्ट्रीमिंग की सुरू झालं वाटतं तुम्हाला सर.
Yes, yes, yes.
हो झालंय.
Sabnis, sir. Good morning.
Dr. Sabnis, good morning.
I think he's mute. Sir.
Good morning, sir.
ஹலோ
Good morning.
நானே ஹலோ அப்படியே உள்ள போய் அங்க முன்னாடி ஸ்டாடி கிடக்குது. எனக்கு அப்படியே அத நீ போட்டோ எடுத்து நீ ஒரு கன்சியூமரா எனக்கு
Hello,
போட்டீங்கன்னா
participants are
நல்லா
requested to
இருக்குன்னு
mute
உண்மையாவே நல்லா
themselves,
இருக்குன்னு
please.
ஃபீல் பண்ணீங்கன்னா போட்டீங்கன்னா
Dubai, sir.
யாரும் அவங்கள பேசிட்டு இருக்கிறது
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
ஹாப்பி
will mute.
கஸ்டமர்னு சொல்லிட்டு மூஞ்சி வேற வேற.
Yes, sir. Sabnis, sir.
Good morning, Sabnis sir.
Sabnis, sir. Reddy, sir, speaking to you.
Sir, please.
Good morning, namaskar.
Very good morning, sir. Finally, the day has come when we are here, joint venture.
Sir, Zoom streaming is started. Is it visible to you, Sabnis, sir?
Just a second, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Please tell me.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Zoom. Sorry, YouTube live streaming is started. So have you gone through it?
No, sir. Should we start it at 10:30?
Already I have started Zoom. Sorry, YouTube streaming.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll check.
Yes, sir.
Dubai, sir, please choose mute all option.
Yes, sir. Actually, I am muting everybody.
There is no need to mute everybody separately. You can mute
Okay.
all.
Yes, 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 sir.
And enable.
Sir. Yes, I made it. And some of, I think individually we have to ask to mute themselves. Then also they can. Sabni sir.
Yes, sir. They should not be able to unmute themselves until you allow them to do.
Okay, it means that I have to say that ask to unmute yourself.
Yeah, you should disable that option, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Ready, sir?
Yes.
Sir, okay. Just I'm checking, sir, that whether. Sabni sir, have you spoken with our resource person?
Yes, sir. I have already spoken. They will be joining shortly.
Yes, sir. Hello. Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, join the program. Yes, at 10:30. Good morning to all the participant and faculty members.
Very good morning.
Good morning, Vijita madam. Good morning,
Good
Rekha
morning,
madam.
sir.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Rekha
sir.
madam.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Resource Person, Professor Dr. Manohar Zoshi, sir, has joined us. A warm and hearty welcome to you, Honorable Zoshi, sir.
Good morning, Joshi sir. I think he is, yes, just he is.
Good morning to all.
Yes, good morning,
Good
sir.
morning,
Good morning.
Professor Dumare sir. Good morning, Professor Vaibhav sir.
Good morning, sir. Good.
From Sholapur.
Ready, sir? Ready, sir. Joshi sir has joined.
Yes. Good morning, Joshi sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Very good morning from Sholapur.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Gaokar sir, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
A very warm and hearty welcome to Professor Dr. Raju Naik sir from Hyderabad. Welcome, sir.
Raj,
Hello, Vaibhav. Vaibhav ji, hello.
Hello.
sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Raju Naik sir.
Yeah.
Reddy sir. Raju Naik sir has
Sir,
joined.
good morning.
Bairam sir also joined. Sir Bairam, good morning. Sir Bairam sir has also joined.
Very warm and hearty welcome to our Honorable Principal Dr. Vijay Bahiram, sir.
I am audible, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir, you are audible.
Okay. Thanks.
Samapika madam has also joined. Sapni sir. Samapika madam, welcome to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Very good morning.
Very good morning, madam.
So, am I visible and audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you are clearly audible.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bairam sir, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Sabji. Good morning.
Reddy sir, Samapika madam has also joined.
Yeah.
Sapni sir, within 2-3 minutes we will start.
Yes, sir. At sharp 10:30, we'll start our program. We are very happy all our guests have joined in time.
Yes, sir.
And the punctuality, that discipline that we are observing, that is really great and a great lesson to others. And 75 participants are there with us.
Yes, sir.
That's really incredible for us. So just 2 minutes to go, dear friends, and we'll kick start our program with your gracious presence. I request all the resource persons, Honorable Raju Naik sir, Honorable Samapika madam and Manohar Zoshi sir, to start your videos for a few seconds. For the beginning, let's have a wonderful, gracious, graceful, glorious beginning. So I request resource persons as well as I request Honorable Principal Reddy sir and Bahiram sir to keep their videos on for a few seconds in the beginning, for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes in the beginning. The event is live streamed. Those who are watching us on YouTube, a warm and hearty welcome to YouTube. Thanks for being the part of this national webinar. And we have wonderful national personalities today. They have joined, their videos are started. I request Raju Naik sir and Samapika madam, Please
Yeah.
start your videos, and all others except these, please keep your videos off. Only the resource persons and those who are involved in the organization are expected to keep their videos on. So it is said, well begun is half done. So this is a wonderful beginning of our program. Yes, the clock has struck 10:30, and I, Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis, coordinator of this event, along with another coordinator, Dr. Ganpat Dhumale, welcome you very heartily.
Thank you.
It's a very auspicious day for all of us. It's a national webinar on communicative competence in English. Dear friends, even after so many years of English learning, teaching, communication in English, lots of literature in English, we find that we are affected by the phobia of English. Many scholars, many talented students fail to get jobs, fail to get respectable position in life, in their career, because they fail to express themselves, they fail to communicate competently, effectively in English. To remove this phobia, to overcome that fear, we have organized this webinar on communicative competence in English. Everybody communicates, but communicating competently is important, and that too in English, that is more important. Since English is the global language, it has gained more momentum when we are talking about the new education policy, when there is possibility of arrival of foreign universities and our scholars studying in foreign countries, and again translations. So amidst this, when two colleges come together, that is SS Manohar Law College, Jalgaon, under the able leadership of Principal Dr. B. Yuvakumar Reddy, and West Khandesh Dalit Shikshan Prasarak Mandals, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Memorial College of Law, Dhule, under the very wonderful leadership of Principal Dr. Bahiram Sir. And when we come together to organize this event, when over 600 participants registered, and 89 is the number, and must be a healthy number on YouTube. And when we have scholars from different corners of India, we have Dr. Raju Nayak from Hyderabad, who has worked in IFLU, who has studied in IFLU. We have Samapika Madam from Kolkata, a very active and dynamic lady. We know each other because of ELTAI as well, English Language Teachers Association of India. She heads the Kolkata chapter, coincidentally. And then we have a versatile genius, my very dear friend, Professor Dr. Manohar Zoshi. Again, a very dynamic personality, well versed in Urdu too. When such personalities are with us, then it's really a great day for all of us, for the participants, for the students, for the researchers and others. And we are very happy to welcome you digitally, virtually on this online platform. Once again, I welcome those who are watching us on YouTube also, and those who have joined us on Zoom. After some time, the Zoom will be full. I request the students especially to make room, to make space for the participants, and the students can watch the live streaming on YouTube. To talk more about this event, I request our Honorable Principal, Dr. Vijay Bahiram Sir, for the introductory talk. Dr. Vijay Bahiram Sir.
Good morning to all the dignitaries and participants who have joined this online webinar. Today, West Khandesh Dalit Shikshan Prasarak Mandals, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Memorial College of Law, Dhule, and SS Manohar Law College, Jalgaon is jointly organizing online webinar on communicative competence in English. For this program, the real inspiration for we people, Dada Sahib Dr. Mahendraji Nide and Nandakumarji Bendale, who have given us the inspiration for organizing the programs like this. For today's online webinar, there is the auspicious presence of the resource persons, Dr. Raju Nayak sir, Dr. Samapika Biswas madam, Dr. Manohar Zoshi sir, and our beloved Associate Dean, Dr. B. Yuvakumar Reddy sir, Associate Dean, KBC North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, and the young and enthusiastic coordinators, Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis sir, Dr. Dhumale sir, all my colleagues, the faculty members of law in KBC North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, and dear participants. It is really wonderful to organize such events for the purpose of improving the communicative skill or improving the communicative competence. English is very essential and globally known language for any international communication. English is only powerful language we have, and hence learning everything regarding English is very essential. As far as our law colleges are concerned, those are professional colleges. Convincing and convening the judge on the legal issue, on the legal point, is very necessary for lawyers. And so whenever there are different arguments or whenever there are the hearing of various cases, convincing a judge on legal disputes is very necessary. And for that purpose, communication skill and communication competence, and if it is in English, will be a special knowledge with every student. So with the idea of our associate dean, Dr. V.O. Kumar Reddy sir, we have planned and we are organizing this online webinar for the purpose of improving the English of our students. Today we have the very good speakers who will talk very nice on communicative competence in English, and the participants will have their wonderful dish, sweet dish for learning something new as far as English language is concerned. So English language is very essential for all of us. For every communication, English language will be the only source which will give you the healthy support for improving your personality, for improving yourself also. So communication have its own importance in everyone's life. For the purpose of learning better English, vocabulary, uttering the expressions and words at the right moment, at the right time and right place is very necessary in English also. We have every habit to express all these things in our mother tongue. Mother tongue is affecting to translate various ideas in English, because English language has its own idea regarding expressing various things. So while expressing something new, mother tongue becomes very troublesome for we people. So for the purpose of learning better English, such online webinars will really help you. So I wish all the best to all of you. I welcome all the dignitaries, and I expect that by learning something new on today's online webinar, you will follow and you will practice the same in your future also. So I wish the bright future of you, and at the beginning of the online webinar, you have successfully begun. So you will have something new. You will learn something new in today's online webinar. I wish you all the best. Thanks a lot. Good day. Jai Hind. Jai Maharashtra.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful introductory talk. And now I request Honorable Principal B. Yuva Kumar Reddy, sir, for the welcome address.
Good morning to all. So today, particularly in this webinar, two principles. One is in the name of introductory speech, and the other in the name of welcome address. So the repetance will be there. The Congress College Education Society's SS Manohar Law College and Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Memorial Law College, Dhule, jointly organizing this national webinar on the title Communicative Competency in English. under these two societies of both the colleges, under the leadership of Pragnasali Nandakumar P. Bendale from KCA Society and Dada Saheb Mahendraji Neele Saheb, who is the chairman of Society of Ambedkar Law College, Dhule. With their inspiration, we are getting liberty to organize n number of programs. Among them, this program on language and literature is having its own significance because it is organizing by a law institutions. These law institutions which have taken interest to develop their legal language among the students who have just taken admission. Not only language development and specifically with relating to legal language, because the communication of language in law is most essential. Generally, we may be speaking with relating to the importance of language. It is a global language, universal language, which is necessary for communication and for sustainability of every individual, and even the states and the nation can also sustainable if they know. So very nice global language. But particularly in our law field, if you verify any statute, any act or any law, so court language is English language. So nowadays in modern days, so the development of things which has been transformed up to the level of lower courts, regional languages permitted. Even then, some of the states like Andhra Pradesh, like Kerala, so even in all administrative offices and also in the official courts of judiciary as well, they are dealing with English only. In such and such circumstances, where among the states who are dealing with regional language, when the matter will go for reaching of higher courts, the entire case material should be translated in English and it will go on appeal to the higher courts. In such and such circumstances, for practicing lawyers, for law officers, for judges, for maintaining bench bar relationship, English language is essential. With that intention, after discussing with an eminent dynamic personality from Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Law College, Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis, during that conversation, we felt that we have to organize such a wonderful program which we are celebrating today is having its own significance. So this program has been initiated, both of us jointly, immediately we have taken steps. Friends, I would like to say here, the lawyer profession compared to other professions, without language, without anything, the other professions may continue, may get success. Whereas in everyday life, the legal profession is depending upon language and through communication. Because the lawyer would become the role of author. When he is becoming the role of author on the basis of conveyancing and pleadings, so on the climax, it is his duty to communicate it to the court orally. When he is submitting orally, that has to be understood, court and also the opposite parties. And they should accept whatever may be the communicated by the lawyer, or whatever may be the communicated by the judge to the lawyer, or whatever they have communicated to their clients or companies. So for all these things, communication is having its own importance. For that purpose, we have with us eminent personalities as a resource persons, and we have with us jointly organizing our co-host, Professor Dr. Principal Y.V. Bairam, who has accepted for all the submissions which has been made by coordinators without any disturbance or interruption. For everything he has approved, and he is also cooperated for the getting the success of this program up to this stage. So I welcome first Dr. Bairam sir for participating in this program. And we have with us the eminent personalities who have consented to be with us for delivering lecture, particularly so competitive competency in language towards the people who are from legal fraternity. For them, they have accepted and they have given their consent through our faculty member, Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis sir. So who is with us, Dr. V. Raju Nayak, visiting scholar, Institute for South Asian Studies, UC Berkeley, California. Presently, he is in Hyderabad. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of both the institutions, that is KCE Society's SS Manohar Law College and Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar Law College, Dhule.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sampika Das Biswas, Head, Basic Sciences and Humanities, Department of English, IEM, UEM, Kolkata, who has consented and she has taken interest to deliver a lecture, and it is not that much easy to take part within time along with this August body, because so Kolkata is one of the great and horrible city in my view, in my opinion. There she has taken steps and she has participated. That itself is fully successful of this program. I welcome you, madam, on behalf of both the institutions.
Thank you so much.
Dr. M.P. Joshi, Vice Principal, Arts Section, and Head of the Department of English, Walton College of Arts and Science, Solapur, who has having command not only in English, and he is having command over Urdu as well, like that just now I heard from Dr. Sabnis. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of both the institutions.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
And my own faculty members who are coordinating this program from integrated courses, one from English department, Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis sir, who is a coordinator, and he is so entirely backbone for administrative things of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar Law College. I welcome you. Though you have been continuously organizing, taking steps, it is my privilege as a senior, it is my duty to inspire the young dynamic stars for development of institution. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of KCE Society's SS Manohar Law College. Professor Dumale, who is from Political Science Department, so who is working hard, and he is dealing with the entire technical support and also other aspects of non-law relating things in Law College, though he is from Political Science, and so there is a less usage of English language in pre-law courses. He is taking keen interest for the sustainability and getting appropriate language study towards the student. For that purpose, he is taking care, not only things, technical things, and also language lab performance and the students' participation in the language lab is taking keen interest. I welcome you, Professor Dumale, and all the faculty members from my institution and also from Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Law College faculty members. I welcome you all. And the most important component, participants. Participants from different law colleges, from practicing side, and also the presently admitted students and the other students as well. I welcome you all. I welcome you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Reddy sir. Just without your guidance and cooperation, it is not possible to conduct such type of activities. Thank you and for appreciation, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we will proceed towards the next. I think there is some technical issues with the submit, sir. So now I would like to call upon our today's first guest, Dr. V. Raju Naike. Before that, I will give brief introduction of Raju Naike, sir. Raju Naike, sir, he has completed his PhD from the English and foreign languages in the University of Hyderabad, and his doctoral thesis was on oral narratives of Lambada tribes from Telangana. Recently, he has also completed the postdoctoral study from the University of California, Berkeley, USA. He is an international affiliated member at the University of Montreal, Canada. He finished his ICSSR sponsored major research project on Lambada but oral narratives. He is doing study at the international level, but he's actually keen interest in the local issues of this tribal community. So this is very important. Raju Naike sir has developed several courses on Indian marginal communities, literature from marginal cultures, tribal literature, an introduction to tribal culture and society, and theorizing the Orient, the theory and praxis in Indian context. He has published a number of articles on different issues, particularly on tribal communities. As we know that Lambada community is one of the neglected community in the Indian society, though it is a backward, and a lot of things are there which is contributing to our Indian culture, because the language of the Lambada community and all these things, it is totally neglected from the mainstreams. So Raju Naik is working on it. This is very appreciative. Without taking much more time, I would like to call our today's guest, Dr. V. Raju Naik. Sir, Raju Naik, sir, this is over to you.
Yeah.
Sir, please.
Yeah. Thank you so much for a kind introduction, Dhumle sir. I would like to thank Dr. Reddy and Manohar Zoshi and Vijay Bhairam and my co-speaker Samapika Das and my friend Vaibhav, who actually asked me to speak on this particular topic. I'm really honored and privileged to be part of this webinar to share some of my ideas and thoughts. As Dhumle sir said, that language that I speak that do not have a script, and we all who belong to that community have only oral sources, and we grow up speaking that language. That is how I grown up. And today I just want to share a couple of my experiences and relate with how to develop this competence in language. It is more or less This talk is on communicative competence from socio-cultural perspective with a classroom experience and with the experience of growing as a faculty, as a student, learning this language. So I just want to combine two things. One is how a person who had come from speaking different language, who do not have a script, become a faculty who teaches English literature. That is because I chose the topic because many of us might be having this theoretical orientation to engage with English language teaching. But there are many students in this webinar who also require some sort of inspiration to engage with the language. As Dr. Reddy sir said, it is one of the languages that need to learn in today's competitive world. And as he rightly pointed out, one of the major problem that today's people who approach the legal support are facing is the language. Because India has a multicultural country. India is a multicultural country and multi-language country. But as he said, the legal proceedings would go on only English. People who speak Telugu, Marathi, other, who are coming from the marginal sections do not have access to the judgment to understand first. So that is the major problem every human being, every person in India is facing, particularly non-literate communities. Keeping that aside, having been said that, being a non-speaker of English, non-speaker of any Indian languages, particularly who has a script, I decided to do my MA English because I failed many times. I got only 35 marks in my 10th class and failed +2 English several times. And slowly I got 37, 38 marks by appearing repeatedly. And then joined in Telugu medium graduation in Warangal Kakatiya University. Even if you join in Telugu medium, you cannot skip the English. English is another language that you have to write and you have to get the score to clear your undergraduate. Believe me, I used to struggle like anything because I don't know what a word means to be. There is a lesson which is written by Gandhi, 2 students, right? So we used to mug up that essay. Gandhi says, says meaning is not aware of many of the students like me in the graduation. Again, I failed in English, but repeatedly first year English. I don't know whether your universities have this practice or not, but Kakatiya University has first year English and second year English. Final year, they don't have English subject. And luckily, we are relieved from that. So first year English, I wrote till the final year. And then I decided that if at all, if I clear my undergrad, I should pursue MA in English. And I appeared for entrance, all India level entrance, the then institute called the Institute of Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages. Recently, it made as a Central University in 2007. But until then, it was an institute. So somehow I managed to get a seat in MA English. But as usual, many of us in undergrad, we don't have assignments, we don't have handouts, we just annually read, and there were no supplementary exams for us. So we just buy the textbooks, text papers, and clear the exams. But here in Central Institute, it was completely different. I joined in August 2021, almost 2 months. I was just simply going with a small notebook and moving around in the institute and going back to my room. There were many students who all speak good English. I'm the only person who never opened up a single word in the classroom. As our Reddy sir and Vaibhav rightly pointed out, we have a lot of phobias in our mind. Even if you know the language, even if you know a little bit of sentences, but we don't speak because there is a fear in our mind that when we speak, the other person may think that, we don't know the language. And we shut our mouth. And it went on for entire first semester. And most of us, we tend to believe that work for us is to go to the field and go to the forest and till up the land. These kind of work. Work for certain people means reading is also a work. Writing is also a work. Listening is also a work. Right? And speaking is also a work. And I'm touching these 4 aspects to bring the 4 basic skills in English. I'll come up that later. And one major thing that across the country follow is, except in the classroom, we never have any access to this language. And in the classroom also, until graduation, maybe in MA, after ELT introduction, they have changed the methodology of teaching. But until the graduation, in all the universities and degree colleges, we teach English as a subject, but not as a language. As a language that can be communicative and that can be used for the communicative purpose. And the methodology, it is not the fault of anybody in India. The practice that we adopted to teach the language is a subject, not as a language. And the subject is to score 40 marks, 35 marks, but not, as Reddy sir said, that it's a major language to communicate. Right? So that struggle, from that struggle, I learned to read, write, and speak and listen that language. And the major source that I got in the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages is that the environment in which I spent 2 years of time. First semester was so difficult. It was so difficult that I cannot even read a proper paragraph, a proper English sentence. But what made me to learn so quickly is that the environment that the institute provided. Because that institute has several students from various states. For example, I am from Telangana. I speak Telugu. People from Maharashtra, they speak Marathi, Kerala, Malayali, Tamil Nadu, Bengali. But all of us have only one common language that can be used to communicate is English. Maybe there would be students from Maharashtra, Telangana, Kerala, but very few. But when we meet all in the classroom, I cannot speak to others in a Telugu. And they cannot speak to me in Telugu. So whether it is a wrong or right, you are forced to speak that language. And remember, the language any language for that matter, is to communicate your message. But the problem in among us is that there would be a grammar, there would be a spelling, there would be a construction of sentence. So we always keep all those things in our mind, and we more concentrate on those things rather than communicating your message. In that process, we miss the developing the competence in language. I'm not saying that we should deny these aspects of grammar, reading, and other things. Grammar is very important, but at the same time, to develop your competence, you need to have that confidence in your language. And why I'm saying this is, I wanted to give some examples here. When it comes to English, we always focus on grammar part. But when we learn to speak our own mother tongue, we tend to ignore that, because you have that access from the childhood. Nobody taught you how to speak grammatically correct Telugu language. Nobody taught you how to speak grammatically correct Marathi language. And we ignore that and we speak fluently. But when it comes to the English language, we all become so conscious. And before speaking, that comes to your mind and we ignore that. My point here is, please, when you are in a learning stage, please don't mind about the grammar. Speak as much as possible. And very importantly, in the classroom, the language teacher should encourage the learners to speak more. And for that, we need to adopt a communicative approach, a task-based approach, or a group methodology, creating a task, and that task should allow a group of people to work to engage with that task, and they should speak in English. And that will help to develop the competence. And as I said, why I chose to do my master in English, because that stepping stone, that failure is a stepping stone for your success. Now that is how, and that made me to learn this English and pursue my master's. Keeping that aside, that environment, that institute, that faculty, keeping that aside, there are people whom we teach in the English and foreign languages. They are called ITPs, International Training Program, that is offered for many other countries' students. They are not students actually, they are all well placed. They are working in the ministries, finance department, defense department, and some of them are the ministers in their country. So they all come to the English and foreign language universities to learn the language. Believe me, when they come to the institute or university, they cannot even distinguish what is he and she. Believe me, this is how they come to our university. And we give them a small task and divide based on the task in 3 groups: advanced, intermediate, and basic. So these 3 groups of students would be working with us for 3 months. And we make them to learn the language, and by the time they go from here, I'm not saying that they are fully equipped with the language and well versed with the communicative skills, but they can manage to speak that language. It is because the methodology that we adopt, and the tasks that we design, and the environment that in which they are spending their 3 months of time. They are from different countries, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Afghanistan. All these country people come again, and they all have only source of that language is to communicate is again the English. So here the basic point which I'm trying to say is, people who come from the marginal section, people who come from the different socio-economical background will not have the same kind of environment that the institutes provide to develop the competence in particular language or any of the language. Believe me, if you keep a 5-year-old or below 5 years age old boy or a girl in a small room and lock him for an year or her in a year, they will not speak any language. And bring out after an year, they will not speak any language. They will be just giving the gestures. So what we require is that we require accessibility to the language. And if you think of the Indian context, many of our students not even having this accessibility with the English newspaper, English magazine, but today's this world, this the electronic devices. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. All this internet and all, we have this access to the language, but many of our students are not using them in an appropriate way to develop. And at the same time, the teachers in the classroom should encourage them to, I think Samapika Das will also focus on this, these 4 basic skills, how to, engage with that. So what we do is, in the classroom, we play the songs, we play the poetry, we play the movies, and we screen the movies for those students who are coming from such kind of background where they do not have the access. So slowly, gradually, they all listen to those words, and we give them the task. We avoid certain words, certain sentences, and we ask them to fill up those words while they are listening to those songs. I'm sure many of our students in the classroom or outside the classroom are interested in listening the music. Music is a source to heal our all issues. So when we play the melodious English song, first time it will be difficult for them. And first time we play that song without giving any text. And we ask them to listen that song. And we ask them to write down those sentences, whatever they are getting. And when we play the second time same song, we give them the text. And we avoid certain words in the text. And we ask them to fill up those texts, the words in the missing that in the text. So they try to grasp and they try to, focus on those words which are missing. And what happens when they are trying to focus on those words, it also helps them to develop their vocabulary. It may not be 100% accuracy to help them, but slowly, gradually, they also develop interest in learning those words. And music is such a source, and I'm sure everybody is interested in it. I'm sure I'm also trying to say that they also listen the vernacular language songs, and they also watch the regional medium regional language movies that are produced. But at the same time, if you encourage them to watch that movies in English, let's say a Black Panther, it's such a wonderful movie. If you screen them 1 or 2 times in the classroom, and obviously they definitely develop. So these are some of the activities we do in the classroom to focus and develop their competence. I'm sure, and particularly the methodology. The methodology must be in a form that they should use the communicative method in the classrooms, and we should teach this subject, English, not as a subject but as a language to develop their competence. And I'm sure that's how we help and we learn this language. And most of us tend to believe that when we speak, we try to impress the listeners. Please don't be in that. We speak to communicate the message that we have in our mind. The impression part comes. So that's how you have to focus. Speaking, reading is must for everybody. And an average reader must read 40 pages a day to improve your language. And at the same time, listening, as I said, we all listening and speaking are the natural gifts that everybody gets in, unless some unfortunate people that hearing abilities are speaking. But these two are the natural gifts that we get, and we tend to speak without anybody's support. And similarly, if you could use those skills for English language also, by sparing your time on reading, writing, and writing is another major thing that every day one must write, whether you are writing a message, an email, or a letter, you must write every day in English. So having been said all these things, but one should also have that inclination to develop the language. Okay, and it is an individual focus. How much the teacher encourages in the classroom, if one do not have, and one need to have that inclination, first they have to ignore the phobia that we have in our mind and try to read whatever the possibilities or whatever the things that we are having, the access that you have, one individual have. Please make sure of that, make use of that, and develop that competency. Yeah, with these few words, I stop here, and thank you so much for your patient listening. And I hope I made my point clear. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Raju Nayak, sir. Your guidance will really help to our participant, train the students and as well as ourselves. I think you have made important point that music, the importance of the music in the learning process. That music trains to the mind and gymnastics trains to the body. So as you said that it is important, the use of music in the teaching and learning process, it is plays important role. Thank you, sir. With this, once again, I think we'll move towards the next lecture, next resource person. So first of all, I will introduce briefly to our next resource person, that is Dr. Samapika Das Vishwas. Madam Sabni sir, are you there? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So may I go ahead? Sabni
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Dr. Samapika Das, she is one of the passionate teacher and also psychologist doctor. As Raju Nayak sir said that there is a phobia of English language. So I think that Samapika Das madam is a psychologist doctor to guide us today. Because the phobia we need to understand. Then only we can overcome this issue. She has a near about 14 years experience of teaching counseling to the students as well as to the patient as a psychologist. Because it is very much difficult to say that till today, we are not ready to accept ourselves as a psychological patient. So this is one of the biggest challenge in our society. So we need such a real psychologist. She is currently holding the post of assistant head of basic science and humanities department. Also, she is a head of English department and academic counselor of IEM group based in Kolkata. She is one of the renowned registered psychologists under the Rehabilitation Council of India, that is RCI. Uh, and also she has an interest, but the area of interest is the application of psychological principle in daily life, like soft skills training and personality development. She also has mastered the corporate 40. Studying at IEM group, she is designated to the post of lead business strategist at IEMA Research and Development Private Limited. Actually, her biodata is very lengthy, but instead of going in details, without taking much more time, I would like to appeal and call upon our today's resource person, Dr. Samapika Das Vishwas, Madam, because her lecture will be her introduction. So, without taking much more time, we call to the Samapika, Madam. Madam, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Dumil. Thank you so much. It is a great honor for me and the entire IEM group. So from the Kolkata, I just came to just join you. It is a great pleasure to me. So I just want one request. I have to share my PPT. So
yes, ma'am.
You just give me the permission. And before going to today's topic, I just want to thank the entire group of this organizer. Special thanks to Dr. Shabnish, that Vaibhav, Dr. Vikram, Dr. Reddy, Dr. Nayak, and definitely Mr. Dr. Joshi and you, sir. So I just give me 1 minute time so I can share my PPT with you. Is this visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is going to be visible. Yes, it is visible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving me this assurance. So you can see our topic today. My topic is importance of effective communication during COVID-19. I hope everyone, you can agree with me, this pandemic, right? So you can see this first slide, this words, whatever showing in the slide, coronavirus, new normal, pandemic, lockdown, sanitizer, mask, stay home. These all are words currently associate with our day-to-day life, right? Our communication also. So this is why it happened, right? The coronavirus is a state of public health emergency that shocks the entire world. It's a crisis that has left the world economically, socially, and mentally shattered. People were exposed to psychological distress, loneliness, occupational burnout, fear of uncertainty, depression. It's a complete state of chaos, right? So this affects different people in different ways. The most important factor in preventing the spread of COVID-19 is to empower the people with the right information.
Just a minute, 1 minute. 1 minute just. Somebody just did.
Is this okay
yes,
right now?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, ma'am.
During this pandemic, what I'm speaking, there are lots of false information around us, right? So that is very, very important. We have to, I think the screen is not visible right now.
It is visible, madam. It is visible. Hello.
Yes,
It
just
is
a minute.
very much visible, madam.
Again, the
Yes, ma'am. Just
power
one.
is yes gone, so that's
Yeah.
why the problem occurred. No problem.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead. You can
Just
share.
a minute. Just a minute. I hope up to this more or less clear. Can I continue? May I continue here?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. So this is right now very vital to make a complete integrated web portal. Our India owns the dedicated integrated web portal, national and state-wise helpline number, authenticate email IDs, government social hub on WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, new desk of Telegram, LinkedIn, and YouTube too. So this is one of the very, very proactive information we can get it from Argashetu, that is government website, one app, which can give the best information regarding the risk-based practices and the relevant adversities related to COVID-19. Another initiative taken by our government of India effectively record the vaccination tool through the COVID-19 portal. So why I am just taking all this information, because any communication of COVID-19 is crucial, whether government to people, from media to people, people to people, doctor to patient, within families, and so on. So viewing, reading, or listening COVID-19 news may cause anxiety. Everything in pandemic revolves around effective communication. It is one of the best and important strategy to respond to COVID-19 is effective communication. Nothing else. It is very, very important. We have to give the effective communication so we can understand what is going around us, because as human we are drawn to one another and communicate with each other in the varieties of capacity. Communication is a mode of imparting or exchanging of message by speaking, writing, or using any of the media. Effective communication occurs when a message is sent and received accurately. That is very, very important. That what is effective communication? It is just because you believe you are communicating your ideas, information properly, it doesn't mean necessarily it is effective. In order of communication to be effective, that message should be received correctly as well. Effective communication is proactive, polite, imaginative, innovative, creative, constructive, professional, progressive, energetic, enabling, transparent, and technological friendly. Now coming to the how has COVID-19 affected the way of people communicate on their professional level. This is something is very, very essential. The coronavirus pandemic affect the way professionals communicate and has critically impacted their communication skills. During mandatory quarantine, the work mode has shifted to work from home. with a little or no face-to-face interaction. Companies are finding a varieties way of communicate with their customer and employees. Organization may be use the telemarketing through the email, social media, or any third-party function of video conferencing. But there are less interaction overall. All the communication done via Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Skype, or any other platform. Right now, we are also using the Zoom platform. Social distancing, here I just want to mention, better to say physical distancing, because social distancing is not the right word right now. This is for the betterment of life, no doubt, but social isolation is not the healthy for a long term. The less contact employees have with each other or employer have with their employees, the more they became suspicious for each other because they are having the virus or they are already vaccinated or not. So this is something we already face day-to-day life in the communication. Not only this, professionals due to distance communication are losing their skills to communicate face-to-face. Office etiquettes, corporate meetings are held online, due to which employers or employee are losing their professionalism and corporate culture and behavior. Communicating using this kind of a media, electronic media, sometimes causes delay in transferring important information due to interruptions such as network issue, poor data, Wi-Fi. It has already happened. Starting from my speech, that happened. Some technical glitches, right? It is very, very common. We cannot ignore. We cannot even control everything. Not only this, the information kind of misinterpreted due to lack of face-to-face interaction, because most of the time we used to switch off our video and we used to speak, right? So without the facial expression, we are not able to understand the real emotion or the feeling or the real non-verbal communication. Complete shift to electronic communication has proved to be expensive for some companies. But definitely there is some positive thing also. The one positive is that many are becoming better at using communication technologies, because many of we are not able to use those platforms properly, but we are now expert. So not only personal level, the COVID-19 affected the people communicate on their personal level too. Effective communication has also the basic thing of the healthy communication, healthy relationship. Due to state-wise or country-wise lockdown, the family may not able to meet their relatives, son or daughter or sister, their sibling for a long period of time. Staying home with whole family create more problem like sharing responsibilities, lack of privacy, personal space, household job. Sometimes what happened, getting involved in others' personal or professional matters because staying together in your home. People shift their virtual hug, replacing of all emotion and becoming a kind of a mechanical or robot, right? Misunderstandings are occurring among husband and wife, parents and children, sibling, relatives, etc. Social isolation, school closure, and employment instability has created the very, very difficult condition during these families. So we can understand staying home with the whole family, not always very good for a long period of time. Many individuals living alone and they are not able to travel to meet their family members, feel depressed, stressed, tensed, they are unable to talk face to face with their loved one. So what are the main importance of effective communication? The most important factor in preventing the spread of COVID-19 is to empower the people with the right information. Effective communication is in its own right NPI for COVID-19 that can increase adherence of proactive behavior necessary to mitigate the spread of the virus. Effective communication emphasizes the importance of content, accuracy, comprehensive signs, symbols, culture, language, and sympathetics rules. Effective communication ensure that you are not only convey your message to someone, but also to let them know about your feeling, emotion, and their feedback. Whether it is amongst family member, friends, office colleague, effective communication helps individual get out through the difficult times of lives with ease. Trust building and maintenance, workplace or personal life can happen through communicating effectively. Depression is another part. Many of them have feeling due to this pandemic. Helps depression is through effective communication. Now coming to the strategy part in professional level. Acknowledge uncertainty. Explain what is known and unknown. Be honest, transparent. Explain what action are being taken and why. Correcting misinformation. Intervene shaming and blaming people and government. Express confidence in people's ability. This is very, very important. Not only the professional part, personal life too. Respect other beliefs, value, feelings. And please do not forget to pamper yourself. Have some personal space, me time. Spend some quality time with your family, friends. Not only this, the social life is also very, very important for this effective communication. Engage public in raising awareness, discuss the pro and cons of internet use, because cyber crime also very, very important days nowadays. Think positive and try to be happy. Take a small break. Avoid continuous working in front of computer and mobiles. Misunderstanding are occurring due to spread of rumor that happening using social media based on assumption. So right now we are not in normal state. We are called right now new normal, right? In that case, we have to change certain thing in this new normal strategy. Alternative of shake hands, hugs, and high five, right? We can use this wave, kind of a hand to on heart. You can say namaste. You can say how are you. These are kind of some kind of a techniques. We can greet others without touching. So this is all about. This is a quick recap. Whatever we are discussing. Stay active and always maintain a schedule. Stay properly informed. That is very, very important nowadays. Stay virtually connected with your neighbors, friend, colleague, and all family members. Do something meaningful, innovative, and creative. You can write paper, patents, article, any project, whatever you want. participate in any kind of webinar, seminar, FDPs. And believe me, we are very, very blessed, right? We are the part of LTI, because LTI always organize something innovative, seminars, webinars, some kind of a interactive session. So we have to make ourselves busy doing something meaningful, which can give satisfaction to us, right? And practice self-compassion and show compassion to others. That is also very, very important nowadays. Plan for the future, make a bucket list, whatever the pending thing you want to complete, do it. And if any kind of problem you feel, please take the professional help, because nowadays all the online therapy service counseling are going on. Don't be hesitant. Please talk with any kind of a professional. So you can see the screen is showing the life after this all restriction. Like we have to always wear the mask. We have this kind of a social gathering we have to avoid. But ultimately, we have to fight back, right? So this is a very small kind of a video for you. So basically, villain is the coronavirus and hero is you. And you have some superpower. Superpower number 1 is stay at home. Wash your hand, that is 2. Third is whenever you sneeze or cough, you have to do properly, and do not touch your eyes, nose and mouth, and stay calm, and please properly inform. So these are the 5 things you have to know, and you can fight back to coronavirus. Now there's a small example. Ready, everyone? Now, this is a very, very famous and very beautiful model, Adley. Don't you think she's look beautiful? Yes. You can write down in the chat box also. Now, look upside down, right? This is the original picture. So this is the original picture. You can believe? Now, let me compare. So left side is the first picture and the right one is the upside down picture. So can you see what is the difference? Yes, the picture is not at all proper. Believe me, I love this quote. I can give the best quote. I think this is one of my best quote in my life. Life is 10% what happened to you and 90% how react it, right? So basically, whenever we react, that is the major part. Maybe the stimulus is very little, which can affect our real life. So this is all about my talk. I hope you can understand the basic importance of communication in this corona position, in this pandemic position. Thank you so much. This is the reference of the talk, whatever I share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Samapika, madam. You have guided us in detail with your PowerPoint presentations. I hope that all our participants will be benefited from this one. Thank you once again, madam. For next, I think I will hand over to the coordinator of this program, Dr. Sapnis sir. Sapnis sir, this is over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Samapika madam. It must have been a wonderful morning for you too, to be with us virtually and guiding all the scholars on Zoom and YouTube. The next speaker of today's webinar is Dr. Manohar Zoshi, who is my very good friend, and I feel really proud and privileged to be associated with him. He is MA, B.Ed, SET and PhD. He is professor and head of department. He is vice principal, Walchand College of Arts and Science, Solapur. He is also the vice president of English Language Teachers Association of India, Solapur chapter, Solapur Twin City chapter. He has a wonderful research experience with MRP. He has done his doctoral, his doctorate from Nanded University. He has published over 20 papers, published many books as well. Most importantly, he has published nearly 8 creative writing books. That's really incredible. He has published his poems in Marathi, four-liners, Charolya in particular, and he has written in Urdu also. He has got so many awards and honors. And this is how this wonderful speaker is. He has got the awards like Dalu Bhau Jain Award for Prabandh, a collection of poems in Marathi. He has been awarded as Meritorious Teacher Award by Lions Club of Solapur, and he Urdu Dost Award by Kul Hind Urdu Conference Solapur. This is how this versatile genius is amongst us. Beyond all these things, he is a wonderful human being, very calm, cooperative, always there to help you. And the diversified knowledge he has, the kind of depth he has, that is really commendable. So I'm really happy that today we have Professor Manohar Zoshi sir as our next speaker. On behalf of all the participants, the organizers, I request Professor Dr. Manohar Zoshi sir to address the gathering.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis, for having put me on the pedestal. I am a very small entity vis-a-vis the brilliant resource persons who have already illuminated today's topic for this national webinar, that is communicative competence in English. I would like to say all the participants in this national webinar a very good morning. Honorable Principal V.Y. Bhiram from Dr. B. Babasaheb Ambedkar Memorial College of Law, Dhude. Principal B. Yuva Kumar Reddy, SS Maniyar Law College, Jalgaon. And my fellow travelers, two resource persons for this national webinar, Dr. V. Raju Nayak from Hyderabad and Dr. Samapika Das Biswas from Kolkata. And the two very energetic and jubilant coordinators of this national webinar, Professor Ganpat Dhumale and my dear friend and chum, Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis from Dhude, and all the faculty of these two colleges. Apart from them, there are delegates I can see, and there are students as well. I think my job has half done by, even more than half done by the resource persons for today's webinar. They have illuminated the essence of the topic chosen for this national webinar. And I think this has been a very successful academic event. Okay, my topic for today's, actually it's a subtopic for today's exposition happens to be effective communication in English. I have prepared a small PPT. I would like to share the PPT. If at all I'm allowed to share the PPT, I have it with me on the screen. Can I do that, Professor Dhumale?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Sir. So are you going to share the PPT? Shall I share it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now I'm ready.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm the host now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, just a minute. I will be presenting to all of you. Okay. Okay. Is the screen visible to all of you?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So my subtopic for today's interaction is effective communication in English. I'm really particular about my presentations because I know that by the time the presentation is over, the participants must stand to gain a few insights into the topic or subtopic that has been chosen for a particular exposition. So the outcomes of the presentation, you can see, this will help the participants understand the process of communication. They will get familiar with the parameters for effective communication, and they will get to know how to avoid the barriers to effective communication as well. There are a few definitions, and these are stereotypical definitions that I have compiled from different sources. So we know communication and of course all the dignified participants in this national webinar know quite well what communication is all about. So it's a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. And there is one very beautiful definition given by Lewis A. Allen, one of the management authors of America. He says that communication is the sum of all the things one person does when he wants to create understanding in the mind of another. It involves a systematic and continuous process of telling, listening, and understanding. So you can see, as a process, communication has different constituents, different elements. The imparting or interchange of thoughts, opinions, or information by speech, writing, or signs happens to be the gist of communication. And there is another definition by a very scintillating and brilliant personality from America, once again, Tony Robbins. He's actually Anthony Robbins. He says that the way we communicate with others and with ourselves ultimately determines the quality of our lives. So you can see how communication plays a very important role in our life. And we know that only human beings make use of languages as a sophisticated, advanced means of communication. One of the very stereotypical, you call it analysis of the communication process is often taken from Roma Jakobsa, a Russian-born American literary theorist and, of course, linguist. And he has put forward a very wonderful analysis of the communication process, in which there are 7 different constituents. There is a sender who sends a message by making use of the sounds of a language or the signs accepted by a language. And then the message is encoded. So a code is used, the language that is used for communication, or any other means of communication than language is also possible here as far as encoding is concerned. And then there is a channel, a medium is used to put forward this message towards the receiver, and the receiver receives it and decodes it. And there is a reaction given, which is supposed to be the feedback in the technical terminology. So this is something that you might have already got familiar with, because Roma Jakobsa happens to be a very famous personality in the world of literary theories and linguistics as well. And his analysis of the communication process has been frequently used in these types of expositions. Now you can see the features of communication, because the topic for this national webinar happens to be communicative competence. So we have to throw light on the features of communication. We know that communication, especially in language, as an advanced and sophisticated means of communication, for that matter, is essentially a human phenomenon. We don't mean to say that non-human beings, for that matter, or animals don't use a means of communication. They do use means of communication. Their own animal communication system is there. But as far as language is concerned, you can see this is our answer to God the Almighty. If you look at the origin of languages, so many languages, thousands of languages are used in the world. If you consider the Indian situation, right, more than 20 languages have been recognized by the Constitution of India, and there are hundreds of languages, which are used in India. If you consider my place, Solapur, which is also called Sholapur all over the world, the people from this part of Maharashtra are known for their typical mindset, as it is said by one of the famous Urdu shayars, that Shola hu bhadakne ki guzarish nahi karta. Shola hu bhadakne ki guzarish nahi karta. Okay, sometimes I keep forgetting the lines, it happens. But the typical mindset of Solapuri people, it's because of the multilingual situation of Solapur. And more than half a dozen languages are used in Solapur. Marathi, Hindi, Kannada, Telugu, Banjara, Urdu, English for that matter as well. Shola hu bhadakne ki guzarish nahi karta, such मुंह से निकल जाता है, कोशिश नहीं करता. That is what I wanted to recite, because while introducing, Professor Sabnis said that I know a little bit of Urdu. I'm a practitioner of this language. It's a very beautiful poetic language. So this is the typical mindset of the people in Solapur, because so many languages are used in Solapur, and there is one very beautiful theory. This is, of course, an imaginary theory about the origin of language. Once upon a time, long back, all the people in this world used to speak only one language, right? And they decided to build a tall tower kissing the heavens itself. And God came to know about this because God happens to be omniscient, right? And then God, had a solution to this particular problem, because if at all human beings were able to build this tower kissing the heavens, there would not be any importance of heavens. There would not be any importance of gods and goddesses for that matter. Entire divinity for that matter would be destroyed because of the human interference. So what did the God do? God simply sent a messenger, an angel, to this planet called the Earth. Just imagine, all the people were using one language then, and the messenger came on the planet called the Earth, and he simply whispered different languages into the ears of the people. People started to use different languages, and there was a confusion, twice confounding. And the idea of building the tall tower, for that matter, kissing the heavens itself, was automatically dismantled. Now, this is a very funny, you call it theory of the origin of different languages, but you can see language happens to be essentially a human phenomenon. Non-human beings cannot make use of language for that matter. You can teach a few animals for that matter your language. For example, parrots, you can teach parrot, any language for that matter. The parrot can utter the sounds of a particular language, but the parrot doesn't understand what it is uttering, my dear friends. So this is basically essentially a human phenomenon. Now, again, see, communication is an essential aspect of human life. So you can see, without communication, right from dawn to dusk, we keep communicating. We either keep communicating with one another, or if there is nobody around in these times, as that has been rightly pointed out by Dr. Samapika, pandemic times, critical times, right? You are the only person sitting back home and you interact with yourself, right? So communication is quite essential. It is a bilateral process. We know the gist of this particular statement, because you cannot talk to wilderness. You cannot communicate in the desert for that matter. You cannot talk to the empty walls for that matter. So a person is required for that matter. And the person should belong to your language family, my dear friends. Otherwise, there cannot be perfect communication. It's a process. I can say communication happens to be a process, and we have already seen how we can understand communication as a process. In Marathi, you call it prakriya, right? Now, the communication, for that matter, has different types: verbal, written, or non-verbal communication. We will come back to this point afterwards. And you can see communication always requires a context, right? So whenever there is a context, we make use of a language. Somebody has rightly said, there cannot be a text without context. And every text has a subtext as well. So you can see how this context plays a very important role. It makes communication reasonable. It makes communication rational, right? So context is quite necessary, and communication has become a precondition to success, a prerequisite to success for that matter, because you have knowledge, you acquire knowledge, but if you are not able to communicate, as it was rightly pointed out by both the principals of these two colleges, that you have been, producing lawyers, you have been producing legal practitioners. What the legal practitioners use is supposed to be a domain, it's a register, it's a variety of language. It's called legalese. Do you know legalese? Legalese happens to be the language of a lawyer, language of an advocate. And you can see the functions of legalese. The primary function of this domain happens to be referential. You keep referring to different rules and regulations, articles, and a number of legal provisions for that matter. One very important thing that both the principals pointed out at the very outset of this very wonderful webinar was that they said that the lawyers are expected to convince the judges. They are expected to persuade judges, right, in favor of them. Now, this is supposed to be a very important area where communication, and that too, effective communication, as far as legal practitioners are concerned, advocates and lawyers are concerned, plays a very important role. The success of a lawyer depends upon how good a communicator he or she is. So you can see good communication, effective communication for that matter, and good persuasion, convincing by making use of language. What the advocate does in a court, for that matter, of law, he interprets law, and law, for that matter, is made up of language. I'm getting my point. And you can see laws are interpreted, legal provisions are interpreted by making use of language. This is supposed to be the meta-linguistic function of legalese, my dear friends. So if you understand, I'm not trying to tell the legal practitioners, for that matter, the future advocates and lawyers, that they must know all these technical jargons, but they must know, if at all they want to be successful legal practitioners, they have to keep these three very important aspects of their variety of language at the back of their minds. Number one, your language, legalese for that matter, is there to refer to legal provisions. It is supposed to be the referential function. The second important function of legalese happens to be meta-linguistic function. And the third important function, I'm talking about, yes, the success mantra as far as the legal practitioners are concerned. It is supposed to be the conative function. You have to convince, you have to persuade the judges, in favor of your clients. Yes, you call it. So you can see how, this might be, a deviation. It may sound a deviation for you, but I think this is a very important aspect as far as the legal practitioners are concerned. You can see there are types of communication. We see verbal or oral communication, and there are different examples that we can see. Intrapersonal. Now you can see this communication plays a very important role in our life. As it is said, a person who can interact with himself effectively is able to interact with others effectively. So you can see intrapersonal communication and interpersonal communication. So the people who participate in a communication activity are called interlocutors, right? Interlocutors. It's a technical term once again. You can see I must be able to interact with myself successfully, effectively, properly, so that I can interact with others in a systematic manner. There is a very wonderful share in Urdu regarding communication. I keep reciting this share at different places, different platforms for that matter. Apna kaha, gar aap samjhe to kya samjhe. Apna kaha, gar aap samjhe to kya samjhe. Maza कहने का तभी है जब आप कहे और दूसरा समझे. I can see this is almost like the gist of effective communication. Are you getting my point, my dear friends? Okay, so intrapersonal communication. I must be able to understand myself. I must be able to, yes, realize myself. Just as Prince Siddhartha sat under the Bodhisattva tree, held penances, went for meditation, and he had his realization. In the same manner, I know who I am, where I am, what I am, and why I am. These are the questions that must haunt you, and you must be able to answer these questions, because we are human beings and we are different from other beings. So you can see verbal or oral communication makes use of sounds. Now you can see, as far as English is concerned, there is no one-to-one correspondence between the sounds that we utter when we speak English and the signs that we make use of while we write English. Now, if you look at the reality of English, if you see other languages like Marathi and Hindi, you can see the speech sounds in Marathi have a relevance, have a perfect correspondence for that matter to the number of letters in the Marathi alphabet, right? 40-odd letters of alphabet are there. But as far as English is concerned, that is a big problem that the new learners of English face, whether it is India or non-India for that matter. You can see there is no perfect correspondence between the way we speak English and the way we write English because of a very important reality that the English alphabet, which is made up of 26 letters, and the English sound system, every language has its own sound system, and English sound system has got 44 speech sounds, my dear friends. 26 letters on the one hand and 44 speech sounds on the other hand. So that's a big problem for the new learners because English is not spoken as it is written and vice versa. It is not written as it is spoken for that matter. You can see oral and verbal communication has to be properly, systematically acquired if at all you want to be effective in communication in English. Then comes group communication. You have a group of people for that matter. Press conference is there, or a meeting for that matter is there. And you are expected to use the oral communication, verbal communication, and interact with a measured number of people over there. And then comes public interaction and public speaking for that matter. So you can see oral communication. And for this particular area, people must be, for that matter, very much careful. They must see the pronunciation. I can see the very word pronunciation is not properly pronounced in India. India is a very wonderful nation, my dear friends. We go to South India. South Indians have got their own typical pronunciations. They never say a very simple word. I was listening to one of the resource person coming from Kerala, and there was a very simple word, F-I-L-M. It's only film, right? It's a monosyllabic word. It has only one syllable. But throughout the presentation, the resource person, of course, it's not his fault. It's because of the mother tongue pull that he kept pronouncing this word as film. Film. And if you go to North India, Punjabis, for example, they are known for their own wonderful pronunciation, my dear friends. There is a very simple word, S-A-L-A-D. We are talking about oral communication. And you see what oral communication is all about and the scenario that we see in India. S-A-L-A-D is a very simple word. It is salad. But if you go to North India, especially in Punjab and Haryana, they say salad. They never say salad. They say salad. Two consonants are brought together, right? They are clubbed together. But if you look at the other words like Virendra, they never say Virendra. They say Virender, Dharmender, Narendra, right? So you can see this is typical scenario of India. So I don't say that we can acquire standard pronunciation, received pronunciation for that matter. We cannot speak like an Englishman, and we are not expected to speak like an Englishman for that matter. But we have to see that we pronounce English in a systematic manner. We are not required to imitate the original speakers of English, my dear friends. But Maharashtra happens to be a place where I may be biased in my opinion, my dear friends, where a kind of standard can be heard. Okay. Now you can see another type of communication happens to be written communication, and all of us know a lot about written communication. We make use of the signs, the letters of alphabet accepted by language, and you can see the examples here. Business transaction or business correspondence makes use of. Now, in the olden times, people used to teach writing, and it was really a very fantastic situation because people, if you consider a period almost 20 or 30 years ago, people used to write letters, people used to exchange letters, and they were taught how to write letters. Now, I think this is the right time in the 21st century when digital communication has given us, a different instant means of communicating with one another. We have to teach our kids, our children, our students how to write letters, right? Okay. So written communication has its own types for that matter. I will go through my presentation fast because I know I have been given 30 minutes for my exposition, my dear friends. So non-verbal communication, someone has rightly said there is an expert opinion that when we speak a language, only 7% of the gist of what we want to say, 7% of the meaning is communicated with the help of words. The remaining 90 to 93% of the gist of what I want to say is communicated by means of different non-verbal, yes, platforms. So you can see non-verbal communication happens to be a very important aspect of communication. Of course, verbal communication and written communication play their own roles for that matter, but they must be accompanied. They must be supplanted by means of different non-verbal arrangements, different non-verbal provisions that we have. You can see kinesics. At present, I'm using my hands. I'm using entire of my face for that matter, right? I can use my body language, as it is said. Kinesics happens to be a technical term, right? Kinesics is nothing but the body language that is brought into the use while you speak a language. So language is not complete. When I say complete, I have drawn an imaginary circle in the air with the help of my fingers, my indicators. So you can see the facial features, the gestures, and the postures that we make use of is supposed to be kinesics. So considering the important role played by non-verbal communication, we have to pay a lot of attention to this area as well. Proxemics, for that matter, proximity enjoyed by the interlocutors. When we have a face-to-face conversation, we come to know a lot about the other person. Gar guftagoo karo to pata chale. Gar guftagoo is face-to-face interaction, my dear friends. Gar guftagoo karo to pata chale कि जाहिल है कितने लोग पढ़ाई के बाद भी. So you can see if you interact with a person, and if it happens to be a face-to-face interaction, right? So you can see proxemics plays its own role. Proximity enjoyed by the interlocutors in a communication situation, right? So you can see what happens when we are at a distance. Now this is a very wonderful arrangement, virtual platform we have. We are sitting at distances, my dear friends. So there are participants coming from different parts of India. But this is almost like a face-to-face conversation. I can see Professor Dhumade sitting right in front of me and giving me his own very motivating and inspiring looks. So you can see it motivates me a lot. So you can see proxemics, an immediate example for that matter. I see a very, motivating smile across the face of Professor Dhumade. Okay, haptics, and Dr. Samapika Das Biswas madam rightly pointed out during these pandemic times, very critical time for that matter, right? We are not able to get in touch with one another in the widest sense of the word, touch. So haptics happens to be tactile communication. You put your hand on the shoulder of a person, yes, he feels that you are, with him, right? So after proxemics comes haptics. It is touch communication, tactile communication for that matter. Paralanguage also plays a key role. These are all technical terminologies for that matter, but we are not expected to get threatened by these technical jargons as such. Paralanguage, I make use of a kind of music when I speak a language. You can see speakers are musicians, speakers are singers for that matter. All singers are not melodious, of course. There are a number of cacophonous singers as well. So you can see speaking a language is almost like singing, because when you utter different sentences, when you pronounce different statements for that matter, the pitch of your voice is expected to go up and down, barring judges in the court of law or priests in the churches for that matter who speak on the single tone. People belonging to law colleges, my dear friends, how the judges give the verdicts. They never express their emotions. They are expected to be neutral. They speak on a single tone, steady tone. It is supposed to be monotone. So a verdict is always given in a monotonous manner altogether. Just as a priest, delivers his precept for that matter, sermon for that matter in a church, he is also expected to be neutral. But people like you and me, we are not expected to be neutral. We can express our emotions and feelings liberally, freely for that matter, right? So when I speak a language, I have to see that I lift the pitch of my voice up and down. It is supposed to be making use of different tones. Language has tones, my dear friends, rising tone and falling tone and rising and falling tone. A plain statement is there, I'm a teacher. It's a falling tone. Have you done the assignment? Rising tone, right? So you can see how we use different tones. Now we are talking about effective communication. When it comes to effective communication in English, tones play a very important role. Unfortunately, barring a handful of teachers of English and the people who know English inside out, nobody uses tones. Before tones, I think one very important thing is there that even teachers of English don't use in their day-to-day interactions. It is supposed to be stress or accent, right? I will give you one example of accent. Present is a word. It can be pronounced in two different manners. No, one is present and the second is present. If you say present, you are making use of this word as a verb. And if you say present, it becomes a noun. Just imagine a pronunciation is going to change the meaning of your word. The stress that you give, the accent that you give on a particular part of the word, which is technically called syllable, is going to change the meaning altogether. What happens in India? The teachers, who don't know the significance of tones, use their own tactic. Framing questions, for example, in English is quite difficult. It's a tall order for a number of people. They are not able to frame questions. So framing questions is a big question for a number of people in India, especially in English. So what do the people do? Just imagine, I'm going to utter a question. It is not actually a question, it's a statement. You have done the homework. This is not a question at all. This is a declarative sentence. But I have uttered this sentence with a rising tone. So I'm very smart, right? And I have converted a very simple sentence into a question. But you can see this is a very smart tactic that should not be used by the teachers, especially those who are practicing English, right? So you can see paralanguage involves the use of stress, accent. Look at the dictionaries, The first thing that I ask my students, about the personal library. You must have dictionaries in your personal libraries. If you happen to be a serious student of English, my dear friends. So then comes vocalizations. Vocalizations, we simply make noises, while we communicate with one another. Yawning, for example. If somebody yawns, it's an indication. So there's a communication, right? So vocalizations also play. Shouting, simply crying, it is supposed to be vocalizations. And then we have signs and symbols. Signs and symbols, it's a very large area that can be used for separate exposition for that matter. We keep using different signs and symbols as well. If we do this, it's a sign. You look at the traffic signals, and you stop. If the red light is burning there, right? So you can see we keep communicating with the help of signs and symbols. Now you can see the effective C's. I'm coming to the last slides of my presentation, but I will take my own time because I have been told by the organizers that I can take a little bit more time than the time that has been allocated for my presentation. You can see if you want to be effective in your communication, you must be complete in your utterances, whether you are speaking the language, if you're writing it. Completion, comprehensiveness happens to be one of the principles of effective communication. It is supposed to be one of the 8 C's for that, right? If you look at these C's, your communication must be clear. Transparency is needed. There should not be any ambiguity. Ambiguity, it happens that when you use a particular word or a phrase for that matter, you communicate, more than one meaning. It is supposed to be an ambiguous situation. And you can see how the legal practitioners, take advantage of the ambiguity. Okay. Your communication has to be correct. It must be accurate. It should be known for accuracy. The third important C that you must acquire if at all you want to be effective in your communication. It should be concise. It must be exact. You must say what you want to say, and you must be able to say what you want to say in a very economical manner, my dear friends. English happens to be a very economical language. Economical in the sense you are not expected to utter all the syllables of a particular given word with same amount of energies. I gave you one example, present. It's not present everywhere. It's present or present. So you can see English, if you speak English, you live longer. If you speak Indian languages for that matter, if you go to South India, and see how languages are pronounced, you can see, no, I'm not blaming, of course, these languages, but it is their speciality for that matter. And we exhaust ourselves. What is the average age of Indians? It is not more than 65, my dear friends. And one of the factors, responsible for such low average age in India happens to be languages, right? We never speak languages. We shout languages. And if you start shouting, there cannot be communication. You have to speak a language if at all you want to communicate successfully and effectively for that matter. You can see English happens to be a very economical language. I keep telling my students that if you speak English more, you will live longer. Because you can see, if you consider one sentence in English, you are not expected to utter all the constituents of the sentence with equal amount of energy. Okay. Now I can see another important is confidence. You must be confident, and confidence comes to you when you have your inner energies. Once you believe in yourself and your capacities, your abilities, you have got knowledge, you have got abilities, you have got skills, and all that you have to do is to garner courage. As it was rightly pointed out at the very outset that most of the people in India suffer from Anglophobia. We are more or less Anglophobic people. We are afraid of, English, and we feel that this is the milk of tigress, and we are not able to digest this milk. And most of the people have, a stomach disorder because of the fact that they're not able to digest this milk of tigress. But you can see English is one of the easiest languages in the world, my dear friends. It is supposed to be the most international of all the languages in the world. Apart from that, English happens to be a sponge language. Do you know sponge? Sponge is a fluffy material. You put sponge into liquids, it absorbs. English happens to be, I'm making an exaggeration, I'm sorry for that, an immortal language because it is going to live longer. One speciality of English is that it absorbs words from other languages. If you look at the original words, do you know the mother of English, my dear friends? You may say, this man is asking so many questions. The mother of English happens to be one of the Germanic languages. West Germanic language happens to be the mother of English. And you can see German, tribal people came to Britain. It was called Britain then. It was not England. Angles and Saxons and Jutes for that matter. This is, of course, general knowledge. You can read it. So you can see how Britain became England. It was called because of one of the dominant tribal communities coming from Germany, my dear friends. I know that I'm taking more time. I will try to conclude quickly. So you can see what I was talking about. Okay, so concreteness is another important C. Then courteous, you must be cultured because English happens to be a language that makes us more cultured and civilized for that matter. Coherence is another very important aspect. If at all you want to be effective, you must know what cohesion is. In Marathi, it is called Susangata Samvad, Susangati, coherence, cohesion, my dear friends. Now, the other majors, I will quickly go through them. because I know that I'm a steadfast speaker. I never give up my slides, and I never stop at the last slide of my presentations as well. Must be a good listener. I was very lucky, in my parents who bought me a transistor. I used to listen to BBC English. I used to listen to BBC Hindi and BBC Urdu. I still remember how they used to speak Hindi and Urdu, my dear friends. Yeah, BBC London hai. It is not ye, but yeah, right? So you can see a number of announcers were there. They still keep me inspiring and motivating. So listening plays a very important role. You must be a good listener. Now you simply see the importance of this word. It's not hearing. We hear. Hearing is spontaneous. God has not given us earlids. Teachers must be grateful to God the Almighty. Just imagine what would happen if human beings were given earlids, just as we have eyelids. We can shut the eyes and, ignore a teacher as ugly as I am. But you hear. Hearing is spontaneous. But listening is deliberate. When you listen to English speeches, for that matter, you stand to gain a lot. Use non-verbal means because, as I have already told you, 90 to 93% of the gist of your communication will be communicated by non-verbal means. Be empathetic. Now you can see there are 4 types of attitudes. Number 1 is sympathy. You feel for somebody. Number 2 is antipathy. You don't like somebody. Number 3 is apathy. You neither like nor dislike a particular person. But the 4th attitude is very important. It's called empathy. You identify yourself with others. Try to understand the situation of the other person so that there is better communication between you and that person. Convey respect, of course. I need not talk much about this because etiquette and good manners contribute to effective communication. Once again, give and send feedback. Feedback plays a key role. So you can see effective communication. Once again, there are some tips that we can quickly go through. Sufficient listening and reading, basic knowledge of grammar. As I told you a while ago, that English grammar is a very flexible composition, my dear friends. I don't know why people are afraid of grammar. In the world of teachers, it is said that English grammar is easy to learn but difficult to teach. And I have been teaching grammar for more than 25 years, my dear friends. So you can see basic knowledge of grammar is very important. Somebody raised, I saw the messages, I saw the message box, and there were questions raised to the earlier resource persons that how should we develop fluency? How should we, develop communication skills and all that, So you can see these are some of the tips that I would like to give to the people who raised questions there. Acquaintance with types of grammatical units. We keep using different grammatical units like words, phrases, clauses and sentences. So we must, it is not that we must have, elaborate understanding of grammar as such. Nodding acquaintance, for that matter, with grammar of English is quite sufficient. Vocabulary, do you know William Shakespeare? I never, complete my presentations without having referred to this great man from England called William Shakespeare, who had given up his education in the 3rd standard. He was not able to complete his primary education, my dear friends, and he became world famous dramatist, And what is the success mantra as far as Shakespeare is concerned? Is vocabulary, is word power, my dear friends. So vocabulary plays a key role, Pronunciation, we have already talked about it. Internalization of English, try to internalize it, I had my education in Marathi medium school. I was born and brought up in Marathwada, just as Professor Sabnis, he comes from Marathwada region as well. So I didn't go to English medium school, my dear friends. But you can see a lot depends upon the process of internalizing English. You speak English, hear English, eat English, drink English, live English, and die English. This is called internalization of English. And barriers that you can overcome. Language barriers are there. I actually wanted to talk a lot about these things, but I'm curtailing my speech. I know quite well the condition of the organizers. Okay, and then different varieties are used. If you consider Marathi for that matter, Marathi used in Maharashtra is not uniform. If you come to Solapur, please come to Solapur and see here the Marathi in Solapur, South Indian impact. A lot of impact of Kannada and Telugu on the Marathi of Solapur. So you can see these are the hurdles that we have to overcome. Psychological barriers. Dr. Samapika has talked a lot about psychology and psychological barriers as well. There are complexes, attitudes, and whatnot. Emotional barriers are there, phobias, manias, different types of humors. In Marathi, you call it tridosh. In the Western understanding of humors, there are 4 humors. That will be a separate topic for presentation, my dear friend. Physical barriers are there because of the unfavorable environment. There are barriers in communication. We have to avoid them. Cultural barriers as well. People coming from different parts of the world, different cultural conditions for that matter. Language is culture specific. Language is molded by culture. For example, if I convert a Hindi idiom, there is something black in the pulses. A British person will not be able to understand what is the meaning of this idiom, because the people in England never have pulses, right? Dal mein kuch kala hai. I cannot translate this particular idiom literally. So you can see there are cultural barriers as well. Organizational, structural barriers are there. Working in an organization for that matter is a different ball game altogether. So overcome these barriers. Try to follow the tips. I'm not, you say an expert in the widest sense of the word in this field. I'm a small scale teacher for that matter, but I'm a teacher to my backbone. Not backbone, but to my monkey bone for that matter. And I think I should thank the organizers wholeheartedly for having given me an opportunity of explaining myself, particular wonderful topic that is effective communication in English. Thanks a lot, all the principals from both the colleges and the coordinators, Honorable Professor Kamale sir and my dear friend Dr. Vaibhav, and of course the resource persons and all the faculty of these 2 colleges, delegates coming from different parts of India, and all the students as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I'll stop sharing.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Vaibhav, sir.
Yeah.
Just
what a comprehensive speech, Dr. Manohar Zoshi, sir. Wonderful beginning by Rajunaik, sir. And a really perfect ending to the webinar by your wonderful speech. It is also a kind of presidential address because you covered so many areas. The way you fused communication and English, and you covered almost everything that is there in communication, your own experiences, the way you translated different works. And since you are a Canadian who has worked in Maharashtra, well versed in so many languages, in translation, creative writing, when such a person sums up everything, that is real success of this webinar. And nearly 100 people watching there on YouTube, nearly 100 on Zoom. And it's very interesting to note that when I introduced you, there were nearly 70 members in the Zoom, and it grew significantly after you started spontaneously, perfectly, and very smooth kind of thing.
It's really wonderful because the other way around happens everywhere. In the beginning, 100 odd participants, and suddenly at the end the number goes down to 40, 50.
Correct.
So wonderful.
Even at this moment, there are 69 participants. So that is really wonderful. And the credit goes to you all speakers, wonderful speakers from 3 different areas of India. And next time you'll hopefully the part of international webinar as well, the way you have communicated yourself. So definitely your talk must have benefited the participants. Even I thoroughly enjoyed the way you spoke, your command on language, the examples that you give. For example, dal mein kuch kala hai kind of thing. So wonderful, really interesting, full of learning and full of insights. So thanks a lot for enlightening us. And I thank Samapika also, Dr. Samapika, for a very beautiful presentation with lots of animation there, and Raju Naik sir for sharing his experiences. He was really hesitant because he's expert in literature, but I wanted him to share his own experiences, the way he came from.
hello.
to
Yes.
see how a person evolves. And even your journey, my that is a different kind of journey always. I belong to Marathi medium, etc. So communicative competence is something important, and you three speakers have thrown light on that. I personally thank you for respecting our invitation, but for the formal vote of thanks, I request a very active coordinator, a person who has been very dynamic, who has been working tirelessly for so many days, Professor Dhumale, sir, Ganpat Dhumale, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Sapnesh sir, for your appreciation. Uh, Good afternoon to everyone, one and all, those who have joined in the Zoom live and as well as YouTube live streaming. Myself, Ganpat Kumare, Assistant Professor. Hiram sir and Sapnesh sir made me doctor, they declared me doctor, but I'm not a doctor. But they wishes are there with me, so I think they want to that I should become an earlier. So thank you for that. I am here now to express the vote of thanks. I would like to express my gratitude all esteemed delegates, particularly Dr. Mohan Zoshi sir, Dr. Raju Nayak sir, Dr. Samapika madam, and respected principal Dr. B. Kumar Reddy sir, Dr. Bahiram sir, for your guidance, and with your guidance, you have made this webinar very great success. Particular special thanks to Dr. Manohar Zoshi sir for giving detailed speech, verbal, non-verbal communications, barriers in communications, that every language has its own cultural context. Particularly when sir was giving example, I recollect that Virat Nigale Landala, in that one drama, I think the translation about the Basta, translation of Basta, that I recollected. So thank you, sir, for your very elaborative example in detailed guidance. Specifically, you rightly said that English language is like a sponge. It absorbs. I think those languages which are flexible to absorb, they are becoming the language of knowledge. But otherwise, that rigid language becomes nowadays actually it is in the crisis actually. So thank you, sir, for your guidance. I think your guidance will help us, and our students and participants very much. Thank you, sir. You have taken out your time, very busy time, and guided us. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you.
Manohar Zoshi, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
No,
you, Raj. Yes, sir.
Dhumleji,
Dhumale, sir. Dhumale, yes, sir.
Dhumaleji,
Yes.
sorry. Are there any questions from the audience?
Yes, sir. Actually, some of the question may be there. Yes, just a minute, sir.
Many students, because they wanted to
Yes,
learn
sir. Yes,
something
sir. Yes,
from
sir.
this presentations. They might be having some questions to ask
Yes, sir.
any of these three presenters. So please, let's listen to them also.
Just Rekha, madam, are you there? Rekha Pauja, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam. Please take some questions, please.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Yes, ma'am. I think in chat box.
Sir, I think that questions right now, they are not visible on my screen actually.
Yes, I think
they asked question previously, and now they are not visible. I can't see those questions right now.
You can take some of the questions, whichever the available in the chat box. Questions, whichever is available. It's not necessary that they will be there. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, there was one question which I actually read earlier.
Yes.
It was relating to how to, it was asked to, I think, Dr. Samapika ma'am. Dr. Anjali Bondar, she raised a question and madam has answered also in chat box. But from the side of all participants, I have once again request ma'am to answer that question, that how to overcome this problem of accent, people, they are even rightfully Manohar Joshi sir has also answered. But once again, from the side of participants, if you can please guide us, there are different ways the people ask or pronounce the particular language. Say right now, even Manohar Joshi sir also, he also raised this point, present and present. There is a difference in pronunciation, and it makes a lot of difference when you pronounce the question or pronounce the word. So how to overcome this problem relating to accent when we basically belong to this rural or say semi-urban area? I mean, different people are here in India, and and at different places.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for asking this question to me. I am just going with the line with Dr. Joshi sir only. It is just like a sponge, right? Thing is this, the only answer is the practice. Practice makes you perfect. There is no other rule here. But the only one thing we have to understand, our confidence, right? Like it is the spoken English, right? This kind of a communication, if you think, I want to learn swimming, but I will not go to any swimming pool or pond, it is not able to learn swimming. Just like that, in the communication, especially communicative English, speaking English, you have to always practice. If you think, I will think in my native language and then try to translate it, when it will need it, right? When the society, when the demands come, it will never happen. You have to practice. You can do lots of activity nowadays. You can watch movies, you can read books, you can converse with your friends. Maybe for the beginners, right? For the beginners, you may use the wrong pronunciation, wrong accent. You are already asking, ma'am, you are coming from the semi-rural area or kind of a, maybe we are from North Indian or the South Indian, the accent, that our native accent is different. But you don't have to copy. Always use your own style. You don't have to change, but try to focus to your communication and come out with you from your hesitation with confidence. Try to communicate properly. Communication is an art, right? Whatever you want to say, the other person, the receiver, should receive it accurately. That is the main magic of this. Okay, so only the best answer is practice, practice, and practice. Thank you.
I just want to add to it.
Yes.
I think
Yes,
we listened Manohar Joshi's Professor Manohar Joshi's lecture. In his passing talk, he was referring, out of 100, 70%, the listener will understand us by our gestures, face, moving, and lip movement. We shouldn't have to bother. I'm not saying we should ignore the accent, but at the beginning level, if you too much bother about your accent, the grammar, and all that, that really will not help you out. As sir said, focus on, try to use it again and again, listen it again and again. When I was doing my master's, now I'm keep on, bringing my own experiences here, because I hope, those things will help the students. And I'm not using the theories here, Chomsky and other people who theorized, ELT and, bombarded with their, ideas and put so much fear in the minds of the speakers. it is, I used to listen a small radio I bought in 2001 when I joined in my master's. So I used to listen those news in the night at 9:30. We have a discussions in the radio. So against is a word, against the word, I learned it from the radio. Against, that's how, slowly, if you keep on listening to those words and speakers like, Manohar Zoshi and others, where we can have this opportunity to, grasp that word, how others are speaking, and try to use them in your daily life. But please, but at the beginning, just try to speak something. Speaking really helps you to learn. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I'd like
Yes,
to
sir.
finish this particular circuit as it is said. As rightly pointed out by Professor Nayak, that listening, and even Dr. Samapika also emphasized the importance of listening skill. It comes in the beginning, it precedes all the other skills, L, S, R, W. So listening is very important, right? So I remember that I used to listen to cricket commentaries a lot. And during my childhood, I heard a lot of Dr. Narottam Puri, Anand Satilwad, Jayaprakash Narayan. I still remember their names, And I heard a lot of BBC commentators as well. And in spite of coming from Marathwada region, in spite of the Marathi background as well, I acquired English by the sweat and blood of my brow. I'm exaggerating. I'm quite sure about it. But you can see, you have to expose yourself. You cannot offer lame excuses as far as English or acquisition of English is concerned, as far as teachers are concerned, especially. If a layman, for that matter, commits error, it's quite okay. But if a teacher commits an error in the classroom, we know that very famous dictum: if an engineer commits an error, a building collapses. If a doctor commits an error, a patient dies. But if a teacher commits an error, one generation is spoiled. So I think teachers have to be very much careful. And if we are talking about the students' point of view, they can be given certain prescriptions here. When I was doing my MA, I still remember one of my professors, talked about Roget's thesaurus. I was not able to understand. I was not able to make head or tails of this title. I mistook it for the name of medicine. And that really turned out to be a medicine for me, Roget's thesaurus. If you want to increase the vocabulary, people are raising different questions here. How to be fluent in English, how to be proper in pronunciation, for that matter. We cannot imitate the English pronunciation. We are not people from South England or London, for that matter. We are not expected to be crows or parrots, for that matter. We can, to some certain extent, appropriate, the pronunciation of standard pronunciation of English, for that matter, because we set an example for our students. So we have to give the benefit of our practice, our experience as well. So you can see, when it comes to the acquisition of pronunciation, there are so many things that you can look at. So what Professor Nayak and Professor Biswas have said is quite correct. Listening plays a very important role. Continuous practice, for that matter, also makes a lot of difference altogether. So I do contribute to their opinions here. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. So, sir, there is one question from my side. I want to ask Dr. Manohar Zoshi, sir. Sir, on one side, all you speaker said that we must not have phobia and we must not take care while we speaking of grammar. And on another hand, as we all are teachers, so we must be very much careful. We must not make any kind of mistake also. How to overcome these two contradictory statements? Like,
no, people say, especially the teachers, smart teachers say that, you should not be afraid of grammar. That is actually a kind of initiation, it's a kind of placebo type of medicine is offered to the students. Don't be afraid of grammar. That is what we say. When we learn swimming, in the beginning, our parents, throw us into water right away. In the same manner, and for that matter, if you compare grammar of English with the grammars of other languages, comparatively, English grammar happens to be easier. There are certain rules and regulations that we have to get acquainted with. And I said, reasonable acquaintance reasonable understanding of English grammar is quite okay. You should not be conscious of English grammar. And that is where I emphasize the importance of internalizing a language. You internalize language in such a manner that you are very spontaneous in whatever you say, in whatever you write for that matter. So don't be conscious of it. When you become conscious of it, it will create problems for you. It will create hurdles in your way for that matter. So just see grammar, give importance to grammar, as much importance grammar deserves, to be given, and then focus on the other aspects of language. For example, pronunciation is there. For example, construction of different grammatical units is there. Accent, as I said during my speech, plays a very important role. But unfortunately, even teachers don't use accent. Word accent, for that matter, is a distant cry as far as English teachers in India is concerned. But it creates a lot of problems in communication, right? So all these paraphernalia, for that matter, all these ingredients, make into sound English. As Madam also made a comment that it is a sponge language. I said sponge language because almost 60 to 70% words in English have been taken from other languages, including Hindi. So you can see this is a very beautiful tongue. Limited understanding of grammar is quite sufficient. Reasonable understanding of pronunciation is quite okay. An amount of focus on the tones. Tones once again happen to be a distant cry as far as India is concerned. Nobody uses tones. It's very unfortunate. We are bad singers of English. We are not able to speak English melodiously. But as far as fluency is, people ask these questions very commonly on these platforms. How to develop fluency? You can see for that, you must speak English, hear English, eat English, drink English, live English, and die English as well. Right? That is the only answer. Okay.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I'm completely agree with you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
one
you
more,
so much
one more
for
thing I just want to add with Dr. Joshi, because you can frankly we are frankly speaking over here through the video conference, right? Video call. This is also very, very important, because whenever we are using this virtual platform, digital platform, most of we are just off our video and we just chat, right? We unmute ourselves and we just talk. But what happened? We cannot see the hands movement, the facial expression, the eye movement, right? The main thing, the non-verbal communication through the body language, completely missing, right?
Yes, it is partial communication.
Absolutely.
That comprehensive, complete communication.
Absolutely. So this is something is very, very important. I will request all the students, whoever present, even the teachers, whenever you take your class or you are attending any of the meeting, I know it is a formal meeting, you definitely you can use your video camera, you should on your video camera. So let they should also see your face, your hands movement, body posture, gesture, so they can easily understand whatever you want to say. That is also very important. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Once again, I extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to our today's honorable resource persons, Dr. Manohar Zoshi, sir, Dr. Samapika, madam, Dr. Raju Nayak, sir, for their valuable guidance. You have taken out your time, your busy schedule, and guided our students. So once again, thanks for all these things. Once again, thank you, sir. I also extend my thanks to the principal, Dr. V.Y. Bairam, sir, for collaborating with the college for organizing such a grand program, webinar. Thank you, Bairam, sir. A special big thanks to the my principal, Dr. B. Yuva Kumar Reddy, sir, who has initiated, who has guided us to organize such a webinar with the collaboration of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Memorial College of Law. Sir, thank you, Dr. Reddy, sir, and thank you to the coordinator of this program, Dr. Sabni, sir. for cooperating, for guiding to me to organize and to collaborate in coordination with the both of us. So thank you, Sabni sir. Special thanks once again to all participants, my faculty members, particularly Dr. Rekha Madam, Dr. Vijeta Singh Madam, Dr. Anjali Bondar Madam, and Dr. Yogesh Maharaj sir, Dr. Shegaonkar sir, who have joined this program from today, Law College, and all other faculty members. It is difficult to take the name of every participant because there are well-known participants are there in the meeting. So once again, thank you to all, and we hope for future cooperation. So because in future also we would like to call all the guests whenever we want. So with this hope, I think once again thanks to all. With the permission of Principal Dr. B.O. Kumar Reddy sir, I would like to declare, sir, Reddy sir.
Finally, I am very much thankful to Joshi sir and Raju Nayak sir and Samakya madam, Biswas madam. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
So
sir.
you
Thanks
can
a lot.
announce close.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Vaibhav, and thank you, Manohar Zoshi.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
And others.
Thank you.
All. See you
Thank
soon.
you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you to all, and for all participants. Feedback link has been shared in the chat box as well as YouTube live link, and it will be also shared on the Telegram groups. So please go through that. And if any mistakes are there in your certificate, you can communicate later on. But take care when you are feeling feedback. Fill up details carefully. It's not. It would be helpful to us. Thank you once again to all. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Reddy sir.
Stay safe and happy.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you, Dumalai. Thank you, Sabni sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.